Now that your Etsy shop is all set up, you have your listings posted, everything's ready to go, you even have a plan for how you're going to ship your orders. Here comes the fun part, or sometimes the not so fun part. Trust me, I know that waiting to get your first sale can be brutal. You might even want to quit before you really get started. But don't give up. If it makes you feel any better, it took me 2 months to get my first sale and another 6 months to get the second sale. But if you're watching this video, you're already way ahead of me because you're actively setting yourself up for success, figuring out what to do, versus just putting some stuff up there and hoping that it works with no strategy whatsoever. So I see a lot of questions about how long it takes to get your first sale. That's one of those things that I just can't answer. It's impossible to know. What I can tell you are some things that will help it go a little bit faster, or things you can do in the meantime while you're waiting to increase your chances. And by the way, this is episode 11 of my How to Start an Etsy Shop in 2023 series. I have a lot more videos on my channel about growing an Etsy shop, so I will link the playlist for the series below, or subscribe if you want to see more like this. I knew this video was coming up and I was trying to figure out how to explain why it's difficult to know how long it's going to take to get your first sale. I know a lot of you also watch Starla Moore's channel because YouTube tells me so. In perfect timing, literally right before I sat down on my computer to write this episode, I was scrolling through YouTube and saw her community tab post about this exact thing. So you can follow my advice all day long. You can follow Starla's advice. You can do all the things right. You got your SEO optimized. You've got amazing professional quality photos, but that can only do so much. You can spend days, months, weeks, or even years optimizing your products for a computer, aka Etsy's algorithm, but will a human or several humans be interested in what you're selling? I'm not interested in anything you're selling! Because a human has to see your product, like it, add it to their cart, and go through with making the purchase. A human. Not a computer. A human. So thank you, Starla, for reminding us that there are humans behind your analytics. So this all goes back to episodes 3 and 6 of this series, talking about your niche or target audience and your branding. In layman's terms, that's how you make your product stand out on Etsy among the competition. Of course, that is easier said than done, and it can kind of feel like you don't have much control over it. Because, well, you don't really. I mean, you can't force anybody to buy your products, right? Here are a few ways that I make my products stand out. As you go through these, put yourself in the shoes of an average Etsy shopper and look at your listings objectively. It's easy to think, well, I've spent a lot of time on these, so I think they're good enough. Or a lot of people just want to hurry up and get the stuff posted so they can make a sale already. While you have spent a lot of time, hours and hours, looking at your photos, your listings, your descriptions, you know your products like the back of your hand, you know what the keywords are and what the product does, everything like that. But everybody that you're trying to show it to is seeing it for the first time. The very first thing that we're going to look at is the photos. They're the first thing that your customer will see, and you need to make a good impression. And quickly, because if you're scrolling through, you might have like half a second to 1 or 2 seconds at the most to catch somebody's attention. Make sure they're not too dark, but also not so bright that the colors are washed out, and make sure that you can quickly tell what the heck it is you're even selling. This is a mistake that I see a lot with photos. I don't believe I have seen a handful of photos that were like too far away, but almost all of the bad ones I see are way too close, they're too cropped, so you can't even tell like what the thing is. So don't let something as simple and as easy to fix as a bad crop on a photo ruin your sales. The image size for the main photo should be at least 2000 pixels wide and at a 4:3 ratio, so I usually just use 2000 by 1600 pixels for my main photo, the one that's going to show up first in the search. That way you avoid any weird cropping situation, because if you upload a photo that is a different ratio than that, Etsy is going to crop it for you and it's probably not going to look good. Then the other photos can be a different ratio. I usually stick to square. That is because on the mobile app you can actually swipe through the photos without even clicking on the listing, and it won't make them bigger if they are a different ratio than that rectangle 4:3. So if they're square, it's not going to be that bad, but if it's a vertical photo, it's going to cut most of it off. off. Those kind of adjustments should be easy enough to make without having to completely redo your photos. Also ask yourself if your photo will appeal to your target customer. This can be done through things like the background you choose, the props, how you do action shots. Those should all be in a cohesive style. And what that style is up to you and what you figured out during your brainstorming session about your branding. This does not have to be complicated at all. You don't have to use props or anything. It could help, but just make sure you're not making a snafu or misrepresenting your products. As an example, let's say you have farmhouse style rustic home decor, like maybe those live, laugh, love signs or whatever. You probably don't want your backgrounds to be like black and orange, because those colors are not generally associated with farmhouse style decor. But black and orange could work if you're selling Halloween decorations. For most people, your target customer is not going to be yourself. It does not matter what you personally like, your personal style for the backgrounds and props and things for your photos. It's what's going to appeal to your target customer and what they would generally expect to see in a photo or like advertisement of a product that they would want to buy. So using a stylized photo that looks like it was taken by a real person and not digitally inserted into a random background, or those cold, empty, background removed photos of just the product, that's gonna make you seem like a real person selling things on Etsy and not, you know, the listings that feel corporate. Now the second thing is to think of every question that a customer could possibly ask you and to make sure you answer it with your listing. And none of that message me for questions bullcrap, because if you don't answer their question within your listing, they're just gonna click the back button and find a different listing that does answer their question. Make your customers feel secure and confident in their purchase. One way that I do this is through descriptive photos, which are also a good way to help you fill up those 10 photo slots. Just one descriptive photo about the product and one about your shop is plenty. Keep it brief. Use that descriptive photo for the most important information that you can't physically see in the other photos. So stuff that's simple and quick to explain, like if it's washable, if it's a thing you can eat out of, if it's dishwasher safe, or if it's a wearable item and you offer multiple sizes, then put a size chart in there. Now, I have not seen any data on this, but I think you would agree that people will look at photos, but they may not end up reading the description or even reading the entire thing. Having that most important information in a photo is going to make it easier for the customer to find and therefore lessen the friction that you have between them seeing the listing and deciding to add it to their cart and buy it. One little thing to add in here, I try to keep you digital download creators in mind when I do videos. So if you do sell digital downloads, I would add a third descriptive photo with a quick how-to guide on downloading and using your file. I would venture to say that this is almost non-negotiable, and you have to make it totally clear that the product is a digital download and not a physical item. Anything that doesn't fit into those descriptive photos should go in your description box, along with the things that you did put in the photo. I have an entire video about how I write product descriptions. If you want to check that out, I'll link it in the description box of this video. Once I updated all of my descriptions to that format, it increased my conversions like a lot. Now, if you'll notice, I am not saying diddly squat about SEO in this video. Now, I'm not saying to neglect your SEO as far as when you make new listings, but I'm talking about for the beginning few months or so of your Etsy shop. At this stage, you will not have enough data to know whether or not your SEO is working. So once you've done your initial SEO, that's your title, tags, and the first sentence or so of your description, leave it alone. Leave it alone, please. Because when your shop is new or you post a new listing, the algorithm is going to take some time to figure out where it fits or which of their customers, which they know a lot about, would potentially be interested in that product. That process will slow down if you are changing your keywords too quickly. What if one of them is going to work, but it just hasn't quite gotten there yet, and all of a sudden you change it? Well, now it's never going to work. As a rule for myself and my shop, other people may do this differently, I give each new item a 4-month probation, which equates to a renewal cycle. If I remember to go back and check regularly, I try to do this at least a couple times a week to see which listings are about to renew, and then I will go for ones that are about a week or so away from renewing and try to change some things based on the keywords. If I think a certain keyword is not going to do well for that listing, then I will try to change it a little bit. But that's only for ones that don't sell. If you have a listing that does start selling, don't touch it, leave it alone. Hot potato, don't, just leave it. And whatever you do, for the love of God, do not redo all of your SEO at the same time or even like within the same week. And the reality is, if you are getting views on your listings but you're not making any sales, then SEO is not the problem. It's everything else. Now, you might be tempted to do a couple things to speed up your sales. Take these things with a grain of salt, because I have seen other people say that worked for them, but from my perspective and with my experience, I would say don't do these, but I can't tell you what to do. I can just give you suggestions and you do what you want. I know, I see you looking at that sales and discounts page. Sales and discounts are okay occasionally, but I would not recommend that you run a sale in your shop before you've even made any orders. It can seem desperate or like you are overvaluing your products by immediately giving them at a discount. If you do end up getting orders from this, it's also going to condition your first few customers to expect to wait for a sale if they want to reorder something from your shop, if they even do at all, because they may have based their decision to purchase solely on it being on sale and somebody else's product wasn't. What you could do instead of this, if you did want to offer like an introductory discount, I would save that for your followers on social media. So if you've started posting on social media, grown a little bit on there before you even opened your shop, you could offer your social media followers a discount code in celebration of your grand opening. It's going to give them a little reward, a little payoff for following you while you were working on opening your shop. And those customers that were with you like at the beginning are probably more likely to actually purchase and then leave a positive review as well. All right, this one's going to be a little bit more controversial. I'm mainly talking about this because I don't want you to waste money. So I also can see you in there looking at that Etsy ads page and are about to turn them on. And I have heard other gurus give this as a strategy for opening. And while I would do this if I was launching a new product, but I wouldn't do this when I was launching a new shop. And let me tell you why. So I'm talking about the regular Etsy ads that you select a set dollar amount per day to advertise your listings on Etsy. I'm not talking about the offsite ads, although I would recommend that you turn those off for reasons that I have explained in a previous episode, but that's a totally separate thing. I'm just talking about the regular Etsy ads, not the offsite ones. So the strategy that I see is to pair a new product or a new series of products with a sale and Etsy ads, because that is going to pretty much guarantee your products to be boosted in the search, because you've got the triple whammy. You've got stuff being promoted because it's on sale, because you are paying for an ad, and because it's new. However, the long story short of why I say to not do this as a new shop is that you're basically going to be throwing money away. I'm talking about like a brand new shop that has made 0 sales. Just a brief overview of how Etsy ads work. If you have browsed on Etsy, you will see probably the same listing in the search as an ad and then as a regular listing. What you're doing by buying ads on Etsy is you are doubling your listing's presence, or like the real estate that you take up on the Etsy search for a brief period of time, because your ad is probably going to run out at some point in the middle of the day, because how they charge the ad is per click. So it depends on the search term and a bunch of different factors of how much the cost per click is. It could be like a couple pennies, I don't know, or sometimes it could be like $1 or more if there's a lot of competition. Don't quote me on that. It's just an estimate of what mine have cost. Let's say you just start out with the minimum of $1 per day. Etsy is not going to go over that, but they're also not obligated to give you that many clicks either. So if your clicks are like 25 cents, but you only get 3 clicks that day, then they only charge you 75 cents. So by turning the ads on, you are only being guaranteed to have impressions on that listing. You are not guaranteed clicks or even sales on those listings that you advertise. All it's doing is putting the listings in front of more eyeballs. If you're just starting out, you're probably not going to have everything like tip top as far as conversion, which is the things that would make somebody see that and want to click on it and then purchase it. So like I mentioned before, doing your SEO and stuff like that is going to help you rank and like get onto the search page for a little bit. But then you also have to optimize for the human that's going to see your product on the search page or on their recommendations. So if you have not done the stuff that you need to do to get more clicks and get more sales, then paying for Etsy ads is literally going to do nothing. My suggestion would be to wait until you have the conversion thing figured out and you are ready to financially commit to running ads every day. Because if you decide to turn them off because they're not really working, then your impressions and views and things are going to tank for a while because the algorithm is used to you getting those views from the ads, and now that goes away and it's going to take it a while to readjust. Once you've made a few sales and you have a pretty good conversion rate of at least 1%, you're going to start to see which products are selling the most, and you'll want to run ads on those versus running ads on ones that aren't selling because maybe they have a conversion issue somewhere in there as well. A few more things to check that will almost assuredly help with your conversion rate are your shipping cost and your processing time. So when your shop is live and ready for customers, your listings are published and everything, I would go into your shop, like view it as a customer on the bottom left-hand side. This might be your left, I don't know. But the bottom left-hand side where it has your shop name, click on that and you'll be able to see it as a customer would. And you can click on just any of your listings. If you filled out all your shipping settings and everything correctly, then it should give you an accurate shipping cost as well as an accurate shipping time. And look at that objectively as well. So think about if you were buying this product from another seller, would you pay that much for shipping? Even though the shipping may not be free, people kind of generally know about how much things cost to ship. And they won't buy it if the shipping cost is outrageous or like more than the item itself. You absolutely do not have to have 1 day processing because that's unrealistic for most people. But if it's longer than a few days, it's gonna look like it takes a long time because it's gonna show them the entire range. So if you put like 2 to 5 days for your processing time, it's going to show them the time it takes for up to 5 days. So ask yourself realistically if you did order the same or similar item from somebody else on Etsy or another website. See if you'd be okay with waiting that long. And if it's too long, you may want to consider your process or making things in advance versus making them to order, which takes longer. Just find that balance between making it realistic for you, but also trying to get it out the door. Similar to what I said with the photos earlier, basically if you're working on your own stuff all the time, you think your shit don't stink, right? So we kind of think that our products are handmade, they're high quality, so people should wait. Like it's worth the wait for my products because they're amazing. It's 2023. The reality is the longer it takes for somebody to receive their item, the more likely they are to forget about it, and the less likely they are to buy again. But the less time it takes, the more likely you are to get positive feedback, which is crucial in the early days. And speaking of feedback, it does seem hard, if not impossible, to get any sales without any reviews. But from my experience and from reviews that I've read on newer shops, a lot of people actually are eager to buy from shops with 0 reviews or even very few, because it does make them feel good to support a brand new shop or like a brand new artist or entrepreneur. But you might be concerned, at least subconsciously, that since you don't have any reviews or sales on your page, your stuff is going to seem unprofessional. The key to not seeming like an amateur is don't act like one. You right now, you have, even though you are just starting out, you have all of the skills and all of the tools that you need to make your listings look as good, if not better, than your competition. Don't think you have to settle for just meh or okay quality because you're just starting out. Because you might be like, well, I'll just put the stuff up here now and then I will improve later on if this thing works out. Well, that's already setting yourself up for failure. So do it now. So if you're a new shop that doesn't really look like a new shop and doesn't have like crappy listings, then that's going to show that you are serious about your Etsy shop. That shows your dedication, and again establishes that you are a real life human craftsperson making stuff and selling it, and not a corporation or somebody reselling stuff from AliExpress or whatever. So this is not a fake it till you make it situation. It's more of like a don't save your fine china for special events kind of deal. And you know what? I'm going to throw in a bonus tip here at the end that I didn't even put in my script, so you're welcome. Once you've published your first set of listings that you're starting out with, don't stop there. The biggest mistake with this problem of waiting for your first sale to come in is just posting and ghosting, right? Because Etsy likes to see that you are active and engaged with your shop, and if you just put stuff there and leave it, or you sit there twiddling your thumbs or whatever, that momentum that you had from posting those first few listings is going to start to die off. So if you keep adding new ones, like I suggest at least one a week, if not more. Like if you have a bunch more, that's great. Stay engaged, keep working on it, and that will help as well. Like I always say, more listings equals more chances to be seen. And in this case, more listings also means more data for you to use to figure out what kind of new listings to add. Maybe some do better than others, or maybe your strategy for increasing your conversions is working for some things and not others. So be patient, keep working at it, and make sure that you have optimized your listings for humans and not just computers.